In this video, I will help you understand what mindfulness is and how it can help you develop both an aware and a resilient mindset, enabling you to navigate life with integrity, regardless of the events happening around you. It is an alternative for living without stress or anxiety. It is about learning to practice what is known as mindfulness or full attention to live calmly, with health, love and peace in a fulfilling way. It is about a return to the here and now, like when we were children. It is living in the present, feeling each minute, each second. It is becoming aware of everything happening in your life, both inside your mind and outside. Mindfulness also teaches us to become observers of our thoughts, whether they arise consciously or unconsciously. It helps us detach from these ruminations, showing us that we are not everything we think, nor should we believe all our thoughts, as most of the time, ideas have been inserted into our minds in an unreflective and irrational way. But it is also about an attitude of not passing judgment, of being kind to yourself and acting with self-love, and also with others, acting with compassion and kindness. It's about feeling truly happy, connecting both with personal relationships and with our essence, developing our life purpose. And it's about overcoming limiting beliefs. Mindfulness helps you deprogram your ego from your mind, to distinguish between your ego, this inherited mental program, a construction passed down from your environment and unconsciously absorbed, and your true essence, which is nothing more than what makes you feel connected to others and to a life purpose. The practice of mindfulness offers us a path to guide us back to our center and, in doing so, find peace. It is the sacred art of living consciously, of living in the present. It ultimately leads us to cultivate the art of meditation, that time when a person dedicates themselves to being alone and still, feeling and observing their mind, breathing, and cultivating full attention to the present moment. Soon you will notice that there is more space for awareness between what happens in your external, everyday life and yourself, and that you no longer react mechanically to external stimuli. Your response is no longer automatic but chosen in a reflective manner. It's about reaching moments of full presence, which is not easy. However, we can achieve this in many ways. For example, through sports, which offer a way to stay immersed in the present for a few moments through physical exercise. When you're in the gym with a bar loaded with 120 kilograms, you're not thinking about office problems, you're focused on lifting that bar. But fundamentally, we will achieve this through meditation, introspection, knowledge, and understanding. How our mind works. It is known as autopilot mode, that state in which one becomes immersed in what psychologists call the monkey mind, a tendency to ruminate or get lost in a constant stream of thoughts. In this mode, you act on autopilot, disconnected from the present moment. For example, you might be taking a shower without enjoying the warm water, preoccupied with the regret from a discussion with a family member the day before or anxious about a meeting happening in 2 hours. Or you're driving without enjoying the scenery, or playing with your children without paying attention, with your mind elsewhere. And what happens? In reality, you're losing your life with your mind immersed in regret about the past or anxiety about the future. The mind goes through nothing less than about 100,000 thoughts daily, and most of them are negative, repetitive, and about the past. The first thing we need to understand is that we are not what we think. The mind works like a kind of program, similar to how software functions. It's a program based on an unexamined system of beliefs and values, acquired without reflection, assimilated through inheritance from the cultural and familial context in which we live. We are usually very identified with the ego, which is nothing more than that mental construction based on contextual inheritance. We live in this state of unawareness, without reflexively questioning our inherited beliefs and thoughts from our cultural and familial contexts, as we've talked about in several videos. From that inherited program that shapes our lives and our perception of reality, it's as if each person sees life through polarized glasses, depending on their cultural and familial context. For example, an Asian might perceive life through very different lenses compared to a Westerner. Although it has become fashionable in recent years, it is said that its creator was Siddhartha Gautama Buddha over 2,500 years ago. The Buddha discovered that observation of the mind and deep breathing progressively lead to a detachment from the mind. Instead, you acquire the ability to observe those thoughts from the outside, becoming an observer rather than a reactive being to thoughtless impulses. What does mindfulness propose? It suggests training that muscle and developing the ability to focus our attention and stay present, rather than remaining lost in automatic thoughts and ruminations. When you manage to shift your thoughts, even if only for short periods, it's impossible to keep the mind completely blank, but when you achieve displacing thoughts for intervals of time, one cultivates mindfulness, or the ability to maintain full attention, and gradually stops believing in one's own thoughts. Slowly, one acquires the capacity to observe the mind, to detach from the ego. Little by little, one becomes a witness, a vigilant observer of their own mind, unidentifying and detached from the ego and thoughtless impulses. There's also another video that delves into the anatomy of the mind, covering concepts like the ego, the self, and the shadow. And in a separate video, we also explore additional ways to calm anxiety and stress. I'll leave the links in the description. However, we'll mention here that stress is one of the major ills of the West, affecting more than 90% of the population. It is the leading cause of unhappiness and illness in our society. The symptoms of stress, such as headaches, insomnia, depression, anxiety, etc., are not the biggest problem. The real issue is the diseases and unhappiness that chronic stress, common in the West, generates. What happens at the cellular level with chronic stress is that you release a series of stress hormones, such as adrenaline and cortisol. Now, why is your mind always filled with negative thoughts? On one hand, it's due to the hyper-demanding, meritocratic society we live in, where we are immersed in false beliefs and bombarded by unfounded fears, such as the idea that we need a lot of money to be loved and happy. On the other hand, since ancient times, humans have developed a psychological mechanism to anticipate catastrophes and fatal outcomes in order to survive. This was necessary in environments where humans face danger, like being chased by a lion or attacked by a snake. That psychological mechanism, which made sense in those times of survival under such circumstances, no longer holds as much relevance in modern life, where we no longer live in environments of imminent danger, surrounded by wild animals and other threats. However, our minds continue to panic when faced with stimuli that it interprets as imminent danger, as if we were still in those survival situations. As a result of the mental chaos we live in, this leads to anxiety, sweating, palpitations, lack of oxygen, and shortness of breath. And the thing is, you can't afford to live with a chaotic mind that is causing you to lose your health and years of healthy life. It's not easy to reach a state of severe anxiety. It requires prolonged exposure to repeated thoughts about everything you don't want to happen in your environment, until eventually, your nervous system goes into panic. Because if every time those negative thoughts appear, your brain activates a protective nervous response, convinced that your thoughts signal the arrival of an imminent great danger. Then the key is to train your brain to stop labeling those negative thoughts as threats. Something that torments you, with your mind constantly imagining a future you've labeled as intolerable, such as being fired from your job, your partner leaving you, having no money, or becoming physically or mentally ill. Instead of resisting the thoughts that generate anxiety, the most effective strategy is to change the way your brain interacts with those negative thoughts. This way, it stops believing they are real imminent threats and identify false alarms, giving you space for reflection and appropriate management. In the video dedicated to managing anxiety, we explore how to approach it by observing your thoughts from a healthy distance, without reacting impulsively or blindly. Mindfulness is precisely that, observing the behavior of your mind without identifying with your thoughts, and activating a relaxation response in your nervous system through your breathing. This allows you to distance yourself from those mental contents and view them without worry. When you practice mindfulness daily and learn to sit with your thoughts in complete calm, your brain stops labeling negative thoughts as threats. As a result, the mind stops panicking, and anxiety fades. Then, when we live in a state of relaxation with an appropriate level of stress, or what is known as a vital tone, the hormones we produce are completely different. We produce serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin, which make us feel good and happy, and also contribute to optimal health. It depends on us to control our minds and do what we can to feel at peace. We will need to develop the ability to notice when we are becoming agitated. For this, we must cultivate skills of observation and attention to the present moment. Numerous studies indicate that we increasingly struggle to focus and maintain attention on the present moment. We live too fast and in an excessively complicated way, stressed and surrounded by numerous distractions. We are very busy, with no time to reflect, to attend to ourselves with self-love, and to meet our genuine needs. We are deceived into believing that a certain lifestyle gives us status, makes us feel important, efficient, and valid. We focus on doing and doing, forgetting to simply be. As a result, many of us often feel sad, frustrated, depressed, or anxious. The fruits of our lives do not reflect what truly resides in our hearts. Pulling at the thread of those emotions and feelings derived from anguish or anxiety, and understanding these emotions and their causes, will reveal essential truths in our lives. Very interesting studies provide empirical evidence that mindfulness is effective. It causes changes in your brain, as shown through MRI scans. And when you change, everything changes. It changes your attitude, your way of thinking, your perspective on life, your way of reacting, and this is thanks to brain neuroplasticity. In simple terms, this means that our brain changes when we do things differently from our usual habits. Our brain can change through meditation and living with full attention, creating new neural connections and pathways. This change allows us to do things differently and feel differently, meaning paying more attention to everything, experiencing life in the moment, distancing ourselves from negative thoughts, responding calmly to triggers that usually upset us, and taking care of and loving ourselves. Mindfulness makes your brain change, and so you change and do things differently. For example, it shows an increase in the thickness of the cerebral cortex. Additionally, the activity of the amygdala, which is the brain's emotion-regulating center, is reduced, leading to a decrease in emotional intensity. This is when calmness, emotional control, and detachment appear. Finally, these are 3 keys to freeing yourself from stress and anxiety. The first key, which we have already discussed, is to improve your attention and concentration to live and enjoy the present. In other words, to become aware of everything. The second key is to learn to recognize and overcome your more complex emotions. This allows you to experience your emotions as something temporary and to react in a balanced and measured way, rather than being carried away and reacting impulsively. To achieve this, you need to become aware of your emotional states and apply mindfulness tools that help you manage your emotions. And the third key is to get to know yourself deeply so you can interact with yourself and others with kindness and without criticism. When we are emotionally upset, we often don't treat ourselves well. Self-love, and treating yourself well is the first step toward better self-care. Mindfulness practice provides the tools to live without stress. The benefits of mindfulness are numerous. You will improve your attention, concentration, memory, creativity, intuition. You will experience greater calm and well-being in the present, with increased energy, joy, enthusiasm, and creativity. You will develop greater bodily awareness, cultivate deep states of relaxation, and improve emotional reactivity and insomnia. Mindfulness will enhance your immune system, help prevent depressive states, and teach you to relate to yourself and others with kindness and without criticism. Additionally, it will boost your self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like so it can reach other people. See you in the next video.